Awesome. So if you want to just go around and do like brief introductions, we can start with staff. So my name is Malcolm. I'm the Philadelphia Community Organizer at TTF, and I'm really happy that you guys took the time to join us tonight. Julie, since
Hey,
popcorn.
yeah, let's do that. Hi, I'm Julie Slavitt. I'm the Executive Director of the Tacony Frankfurt Watershed Partnership. It's really great to see everybody. Marion from PPR, we're very excited that you're here. And I'm going to ask Dorian to go next.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dorian De Angel. I'm the Community Watershed Leader for TTF. Do a lot of the programming for Tacony Creek Park. I will popcorn to Alex.
Hey everybody, my name is Alex Rosario. I'm the stewardship leader for TTF. I'm gonna pass it on to Frank.
Hello, I'm Frank, and I'm live in the Harrogate section of Philadelphia, and I usually give Alex a hand with some of his Wednesday cleanups. Oh, you can move me on. I'm wherever you want to put me. Or whoever else is there.
Hey
It's all right.
everyone, my name's Tom McHale. I'm one of the trail ambassadors and lead the Saturday morning walk in the Tacony Creek Park. I'm usually always on the walk with my wife Savannah. She's here with me tonight.
Hi.
And sorry we don't have the video up. It's because it's currently like feeding hour and the pets are all over us right now. But we're happy to be here tonight. And I'll pass it on to Eric.
I'm Eric. I live in Feltonville, and yeah, bike through the park every day. I'll pass it on to Marion.
Hello, my name is Marian Tall. I work with Parks and Rec. I also have a cat friend here with me, Alex. I started with Parks and Rec in November, so I'm a community initiative specialist, and my role is to be a liaison between the friends groups and the city to help support and advocate for your all's needs. I know that Jason is typically support person for you all, and as I'm new, I'm kind of shadowing and getting to know some of the parks. So Jason's out this week, and I'm happy to be here to represent Parks and Rec. Thanks so much for having me.
We are very happy to meet you.
Yeah. Was that? Oh, I guess Pete is here. Maybe I'll pass it to Pete.
Thanks, Marianne. Nice to have you. Yeah, Pete Carter. I'm with the Keepers group, and I live in the Northwood section.
Awesome. I believe that's everybody, so we can go ahead and move forward. I'm going to pass it off to Julie, who will be speaking a little bit about our next master plan public meeting for Tacony Creek Park.
Will you put up the agenda? Do you have the agenda?
I can pull up the agenda.
All right. It's okay. Just
So I have a
track of where I
printout
was.
version with me. That's what I was looking at.
Anyway, so as most of you know, we have been working on a master plan for the park. The project got funded like pre-COVID, so it's been a long process. And it was funded by the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, which funds master plans and also improvements. And the William Penn Foundation matched the funding because it requires a 50-50 match, as well as the Scattergood Foundation. They provided funding dollars as well. And we worked with Natural Lands, that was our consultant, to do the master plan process. They have to have a certified recreational planner and other folks like that. So that was our consultant, especially because we had worked with them on some of our work outside of the city, and they were also really familiar with the park. They worked with the Scattergood Foundation on the easement, on their big easement, their second easement. And they also had worked on prior master plans from a few decades ago of Philadelphia Park. So they were familiar with the park. And we went through a series of online meetings and talking to people at a whole bunch of events. We have an advisory committee. There's an online master plan survey, and there's actually, so I'll go back 1 minute. So for the park, and this is probably new to Marion, is there's a TTF has a website, but there's also a website that we sponsor for Tacony Creek Park. It's called tcpkeepers.org, but if you Google Tacony Creek Park, you will end up there. So there's a page there for the master plan. And it has the survey on it. I think I don't think we have posted the final survey results, but we'll be getting those up. And there's also the sort of draft plan, which is right now being finalized. We've had 2 public meetings, and then we presented the plan to Parks and Rec. So senior leadership at Parks and Rec got to look at it. And the plan is to present it to the public on April 25th, Tuesday, April 25th, from 5 to 7 at Friends Hospital in the Scattergood building in the Scattergood auditorium. So Malcolm put this up so you can all see this. And it is, I think everyone, I mean, you guys have seen the sort of the first draft of the plan. It is really responsive to what people told us they need. And, it's sort of not rocket science to figure out what we need in Tacony Creek Park because we have so few amenities. So, it's improving gateways, it's more places to sit, it's lighting, it's all those kind of things that we don't really have at the moment. And some really sort of creative, more connections, making sure that some of the trails that are not really official, but that are good, that connect pedestrians, will be connected, improving the entire trail from the boulevard up to Cheltenham Avenue, which is the oldest part of the trail. Fencing, anti-litter fencing, anti-ATV fencing. So it's signage, all the kind of stuff that we've been talking about, and that people told us they wanted for a long time. So we're excited about that. And the next step is to get people excited about this and then to raise money to make it happen. So we need all of you to talk to everybody that you know and make sure that we get a good turnout at this public meeting, because we need to make sure that elected officials help us get this funded. And there are a lot of sections of it where, we'll be able to do it, I think, in some different phases based on the funding that's out there. And it's kind of amazing because we're in, and I can't be too partisan, but we are in a good place because, President Biden has put forth a lot of funding for programs like parks and trails and infrastructure. So there'll be funding that we'll be able to apply for, I think, through the feds, that'll come down to the state, come down to the city. So it's nice to be in a position. It's not like there is no funding for this. There will be funding. And city council folks have access to not huge pots of money, but funding. Federal legislators can also put in appropriations that are targeted for specific projects. And because we're part of the circuit trail system, we'll be able to apply for some circuit funding. So I don't want to be too optimistic, but I do want to be optimistic because I think with a lot of support, we'll be able to put some pieces together. So I think that's all I wanted to say. So please, we'll make flyers available. We'll be posting online. We want to make sure that we get a good turnout, and we'll do a sort of an open house where people will be able to look at big posters, big maps, and see those up close, and then there'll be a presentation. So I think that's it for me.
Awesome. So I'm going to hand it over to Alex, who'll be giving us like a brief 311 demonstration.
All right. Yeah, we decided to do a 3-on-1 demo because we've been getting emails of issues in the park, whether it's illegal dumping. Recently we've been getting abandoned vehicles, but it's also helpful if, the community that uses the park knows how to submit these type of issues to 3-on-1, because it also helps us get like a head start on the issue. And, if you add the issue to 3-on-1 and send it to us in an email, we're able to forward that to Jason Mifflin or somebody from PPR just to get so they're aware of it that it's coming from us. So all right, you already sharing your screen? Awesome. So the way to access this website is if you go on Google and just type in Philly 301, and then it will show you, Philly 301 where you just click on it, it will take you to this website here. And as you see on the map, it's showing, different reports throughout all of Philadelphia. So I guess if Malcolm, can you click on the list?
Those on the left.
Up to your right. There you go. Example like pothole repair, unlicensed business complaint. If you scroll down, abandoned automobile. So certain no well, different issues that are on here ask different questions for you to actually finish the submission. So I guess the most ones we be getting is illegal dumping. So maybe we could just do like illegal dumping. There you go. And the first question is gonna ask you for your address of the issue. So Malcolm, if you can show an example, if you click on the how you call that, the cursor of the cursor on the map pin, the pin, and if you just drag it up to Tacony Creek Park or somewhere,
Oh, you're gonna make me find Tacony Creek Park on a map.
yeah. So you drag it up a little bit more. All right. And let's just say there's a dumping right there. You'll put that as your address. And the second question is it trash on a vacant lot? It's gonna give you choices, like no or yes. Then the following question after that is there commercial hazardous waste like oil? Uh, you know, we mostly see a lot of motor oil in the park when it comes to the chemical waste and stuff like that. Um, yeah. So does it include hazardous household waste? Um, so just like straightforward questions. Um, then I'll also ask, is it the trash in the bike lane or in the sidewalk? Is there active construction on site? Because if it's like, let's say if it's a dumping of like wooden pallets or tiles or sheetrock, it could have been dumped there by like somebody that's working on a house nearby and they just want to keep pocket extra cash instead of disposing the debris properly. If it's a large dumping, would it need a large crew, which is one of the questions right there. So you choose yes or no. If you go on top of that question real quick, the question asks what kind of material is it. Bagged is like, if everything's all bagged up, it's just tossed there. Is it bagged up? Um, can you go back on that real quick? Construction debris, as I mentioned, if it's sheetrock, uh, you know, woody debris, like landscapers like to toss like trees they cut down instead of disposing it properly. They just throw it, on a guardrail, which we see mostly in the park. Um, Containers such as bins with clothing, because people get evicted and landlords don't know how to dispose of that stuff, so they like to toss a bunch of clothes with like into the park and bins too. And litter is just like if there's a bag there or a bin that's broken up and it's just like small trash next to it, but it's like a lot of it, so you put litter. Um, and again, if you go to the next question,
I'm going to interrupt because Thomas put in the chat that there's an app for this as well.
Yeah,
So
right.
you can keep this on your phone,
Right.
Which is really, that's valuable as well. And like Alex said, we when we report stuff, the first question from the city is always, was it reported to 311? So we need people to report to 311. Is there anybody on who's never, I mean, I'm assuming most of you guys know how to use, you generally do this. But we thought it was really important to emphasize it. Look, Thomas, it looks like you use this a bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think it is great to emphasize because the more reports we have in there, the quicker the response times are. Ourselves and our neighbors, if we see dumping on the field across from the homes, or at the moment we have a boat that's parked on the Tabor Road Bridge and has been there for months on a busted trailer, no tags. It's just an eyesore and blocks a bit of the walking path there too, because it gets a little crowded with trees. And these are the little types of things that can last months. So the more people reporting these things, hopefully the faster the response time is. But I do say, like, the smartphone app is such a great tool when we're down in the park for any of us, because you can take a photograph right there. And on the smartphones, not to be too technical, but they all are embedded with metadata that keeps the GPS coordinates. So after the walk, I come home, grab a cup of coffee, open up the 311 app, type up a short report, and it already has the GPS data right there. Upload the photos straight from your phone. It's all done in 5 minutes. So that's a super helpful tool. If people are, familiar with their phones and their smartphones, definitely take advantage of that. Thanks.
Exactly, well said. So when I'm doing my patrol at a park, I always bring out my phone as well. Got the 311 app on my phone, do a quick report. It's sent straight to my email, and it's easy for me to just forward that report to Jason Mifflin or anybody from PPR that's able to come out and just speed the process up. But yeah, so then description of vehicle, if you saw somebody that done it or you managed to get license plate or anything. So right, then the type of material that's there, appliances like, cabinets, doors, whatever. Like, there's a lot of weird things people like to dump. Construction materials, I said sheetrock, um, you know, uh, um, anything that has like a woody pallet, but with rusty nails sticking out of it, just be careful. Mattresses, furniture, TV monitors, other. Um, if you see, unfortunately, if you see a dumping of tires, I tend to put other, because it's really not. There's nothing specific there, but you could leave a comment in the description all the way in the bottom. Hey, there's a ton of tires here, just to get specific, and then also you could attach a photo too, and it's pretty easier on the app too, because you could just like take a shot right off your phone while you're doing a report, so it's pretty easy. um so you don't need to like take a shot, go home, and either way, whatever's easier for you, but you could just take a shot right off the app and go straight to the submission. Then once you're done that, you submit it, and then you'll get a case report sent to your email. Even if you're a guest person too, you still report it. But if you made an account, and you have an email that's associated with this account, once you make it, your case will get sent straight to your email. And then there's also a link that's sent to your email as well, so you can just keep track of it. But then also, you'll get notifications through your email about the update status of the report too. So they'll let you know, like, hey, we checked this spot, we couldn't find it. Or they're like, hey, we took care of it, and then they'll just send you like a nice email, thank you for submitting. Um, so yeah, if any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Yeah, let me leave my email here in the chat. And yeah, and I suggest, if you're familiar with smartphones, please download the app. It's just called Philly 311, and it's very helpful.
Thank you. And then you're gonna keep talking because you have this Philly Spring cleanup next.
Exactly. So April 1st, we're doing our Philly Spring cleanup at the Ramona Gateway from 10 to 12. As usual, we're going to bring all the supplies, so feel free to connect with folks. Try to bring all the volunteers you can. Anybody who's interested in cleaning up on a warm day, because I'm hoping this day is warm. But yeah, just share it around. I believe we have our registration form up for this date too, so feel free to sign up and feel free to share it around. But we'll be at the Ramona Gateway from 10 to 12.
Thank you. I'm going to pass over this next slide real quick. This is about our walking and running group. I wanted to have Thomas speak about this, and we have a new addition to the walking group, but the walker will be joining us a little bit later. So I'm just going to move this to the end of the discussion until they can join, so we can do this all at once. So the next person I'm going to pass it off to is Dorian, who will be speaking about our upcoming program.
Yes, thank you, Malcolm. So I'm going to talk about Birds of a Feather. So we're doing this again. We had our very first Birds of a Feather last year that took place up at the Whitaker Avenue Gateway, where the bird murals are near Whitaker Avenue. And so we're doing this event again, and it falls on April 22nd, which is Earth Day. And this is also a part of the Rails to Trails Conservancy Celebrate Trails Day, which is a large campaign. So anyone who participates on any event at Celebrate Trails Day can also qualify to get like a free prize raffle from Rails to Trails Conservancy. So we're gonna celebrate trails and Earth Day with the Birds of a Feather event, where it's gonna be a lot of artists along the trail, where they're going to be live painting and also showcasing their merchandise that you could purchase, and also arts and crafts activities for all ages to be able to do. And Vert Creative, the creators of the bird murals, they're going to be there live painting and touching up the bird murals. So that's going to be a really special day. And of course, it's from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. So we're going to need a hand with volunteers to help with setting up all the tables, helping artists get from the gateway all the way down to where the bird murals are, and as well as volunteers to help us like during the event with greeting participants, helping us sign in participants, and any help with some of the craft activities, help with the Quick Mobile, and of course, breaking down the event afterwards from 4 to 5:30. So the link to register is on the flyer. The QR code takes you both to, if you want to volunteer, you can sign up on that form. If you want to just attend to participate, you can sign up on that same registration form as well. And we just hope that you can join us, help us get the word out. You know, this is going to be a very special event, and a great way to celebrate the spring and celebrate trails that day. If you have any questions, you can contact me as well.
Awesome, thank you for that. Just to keep it on your calendars, these will be the meeting dates for the next Keepers meetings for the rest of the year. So the next one will be on April 27th, again from 6 to 7 online. Just because I know a lot of people would prefer to do in-person meetings, but we do find that this is a lot more convenient for everybody, as opposed to having to drive somewhere and find a meeting place that accommodates everybody. It's a lot easier for everyone just to meet online. So we'll be sticking for this format for a little bit longer. So it'll be April 27th, which means you will all be getting emails and phone calls from me again right around that time. So just to keep it on your calendar, keep it in the front of your brain.
Mhm. Can I add something about Birds of a Feather?
Go for it.
So just, you know, we want to make sure we have enough volunteers. It's a really big event. So if people have, I mean, I know that Eric is on. I mean, if you work with people or companies or have a church group or whatever, those are the kind of folks. If you can bring a few other hands or some other, you know, colleagues that work with you that might be interested in helping out at a really fun community event.
Definitely. Second that thought. So that's more of like the meeting portion. So now we're going to open up to like a little bit of like a roundtable discussions to talk about updates of the park, kind of concerns, questions, comments, that sort of deal. And then once the other walk leader joins, we'll circle back to the walk leader stuff. To stop screen sharing so I can see everybody's face. I'm just going to open up if anybody has anything they want to bring up, questions, concerns about the park, things along those lines.
Pete, I know you have a lot on your mind.
Yeah, mainly about my job. Yeah, just I think I shared with Malcolm that I work with a health clinic down at Kensington in Allegheny. So yeah, some pretty intense stuff down there. Some of those
Oh.
people, some of those people could use a bird walk. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, we interacted on the natural lands property. So I don't know if there's been any more movement on that or discussions with Scattergood.
Mhm. So, so Scattergood gave did two easements. One of them was for the city to finish the trail because they owned the land on the other side of the creek. I don't know why. And then the other easement that they did that's like 50 acres. And they have a big green stormwater project that we manage, that we have a contract with them to manage. And we have really tried to push them. We've been doing this for like 5 years to put funds into the kind of things that you were talking about, which is some fencing, to really make the place more secure, because the city's not doing enough either, but people can drive right through the creek. People drive right through the creek to Scattergood pretty regularly. And there's access is way too open. When the pump track was done, we really wanted them to prosecute the guys that did the pump track, and they didn't want to. So Natural Lands holds the easement, and it was funded. So they got funding from the state for the easement, which means that funding is supposed to sit in it's supposed to sit in a fund, and they're supposed to use the interest from that to maintain the easement. So after the pump track was built and there was all that damage done, we actually, we told Natural Lands what had happened there. And Natural Lands went out and did a walkthrough, because they're responsible for making sure that Scattergood is taking care of the easement. So it's sort of funny, Pete, because Natural Lands is very involved in this. I don't know what the conversation was that Natural Lands had with Scattergood as part of the master plan. And I think we should keep pushing Scattergood and the city to look at limiting, they need to limit access, and they need to have more security. I don't know why they took that chain off the road that went down from their property to the creek. I mean, I don't know why, I don't think they're willing to spend any money on security there. So it gets pretty crazy, and it's not, I don't know, it's not the city's responsibility.
Right.
It's not city property.
Right. Yeah, it seems
so-
kind of silly to call 311 for someone else's property that they're in charge of.
Exactly. No,
That's
I
kind
agree.
of, that's
with you.
kind of where I'm at. I'm just like, what, if they're not gonna, deal with it. I mean, it just seems like, that I sent, I went back and read the article. You guys have seen it a million times. I sent it to a few people. It says Scattergood is in charge of protecting and monitoring that land, and they don't do it. I mean,
Right.
just it's very simple. They just do not do it. I mean, it's probably that chain. Somebody decided to drive through there and just. I don't think Scattergood took it down. I think somebody probably just said, "Oh, I'm going to drive down the creek. I'm going to pull this chain out." They just do not monitor the property. It's as simple as that. So either they make a new commitment to doing so, or someone else should be assigned to do it.
No, I hear you. And, I brought this up with Natural Lands. I mean, it's hard because the city's not doing, neither partner is doing what they should be doing, but that's really not sort of an excuse. It would make a difference if they did more in terms of vehicles driving through the creek onto their property. It would help. So I think we need to keep pushing them. I'm really glad that you sent an email to Joe Pyle. You know, if this group, I mean, you're the friends, and you know, if you want to put a petition together or a letter together, I think that Scattergood should hear from more people. Because I agree with you. They created an easement, the easement got funded, and they are supposed to be taking care of the property. You know, the city should be taking care of their part of the property too, but you know, the city has a lot of other issues.
Yeah, I mean, the simplest thing to look at is just between those two rocks where that chain's supposed to be. I mean,
Mhm. And
that's
I
not
believe
that's
that
not the
they,
city's responsibility. So I guess
Right.
the question becomes, at what point do we do a petition to natural lands? Because, you know, Scattergoods, they have their own priorities in terms of
Mhm.
behavioral health and all that kind of stuff. I don't see them as experienced park property managers. I don't think that's really their areas. So maybe we
Right.
need to petition natural lands and say the current arrangement is not working.
Mhm.
Either Scattergood makes a firm commitment with a plan, with a regular monitoring schedule, or we should try to find someone else to do it.
Right. Well, at this point, I mean, I don't know who else would do it. They own the property. The Scattergood Foundation owns that property.
Right.
They own the whole campus.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they applied for the easement. So, you know, if we want to go to natural lands too, I think that's fine. I mean, you know, I don't think it's comfortable for them, but too bad. Like, their job is to hold these easements and make sure
Right.
that the property owners are taking care of the property.
Right.
And they got money to take care of the property.
Right.
So I'm with
you know,
you.
like I said, I mean, at this point, I mean, and again, I don't want to, you know, we all have priorities, including the city and Scattergood, but I mean, it like I said in the one email, it just kind of feels like they're absentee landlords at this point.
No, I completely agree with you. I mean, we're frustrated too.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, I think doing writing a letter that a bunch of people sign to send to natural lands would be fine.
Yeah.
You know, you could send it to I can give you we can get the name of who the president of natural lands is or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, that's where to start. And they should come out and, you know, we took them to the property after the pump track. They should come out again. And, you know, they sent a letter to Scattergood that said, you need to bring this back to, you know, it needs to be replanted. It needs to be restored, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But
And trees were put up there, and the ones that are in the way of the ATVs have all been knocked down. So it's really a mess.
no, it's really frustrating. And we
Yeah.
got a grant to do that planting. So
Yeah.
they didn't really pay for that.
Right. You guys paid for it and did the work, and you know, they're not protecting the land. It's interesting that the language is get the easement to protect it from development. Well, it is being developed, but not for businesses, but as an ATV playground. So it's not being protected from development. But
No,
all
I
right,
agree with
petition
you
sounds good.
completely.
Yep. Thanks.
So we'll help you in whatever way we can. I think that they need to hear from people. You know, having an easement, I mean, it's a tool that the government has created to incentivize protecting land, and you get the funding and you should be doing just that. And it's getting work, you know, it's just, the land is getting more destroyed. Okay. I think that's a good one. Let us know how we can help.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank
I
you,
had a
Pete.
question. It's happened last year and happened again. This week. They mowed the big meadow at Whitaker. I'm just wondering why it's mowed. And yeah, I'm not sure if anyone knows the answer to that question. And I guess it's Parks Department who's mowing it. And yeah, I'm just wondering why it was mowed.
So do you mean at Whitaker and Loudon at the gateway?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not really a meadow.
Okay.
it wasn't really planted as a meadow, so they mowed next to the trail, right?
Yeah, well, they mow next to the trail, but they like it's a huge swath of it.
Yeah.
My understanding is that is part of the management of the meadows to that like in order to maintain a meadow environment, it does need some sort of annual maintenance. I live close to Cops Creek and there's a large meadow there that also gets mowed periodically. I believe it's around this time in April.
Right.
The Parks Department contracts with mowers who come out and do it. So I
Yeah,
don't know necessarily, I can't speak more to the restoration aspect, but over
Mhm.
time, a meadow would turn into a forest if it didn't have routine
Right.
maintenance. And I think that part of the importance of having edge ecosystems between forest and meadows, so it requires that maintenance. I know it can be a little shocking when
Yeah.
you're surprised
Yeah.
to see it, but that's
Mhm.
my best understanding.
Yeah. I don't believe that's actually was planted as a meadow. I just need
Okay.
to say that. That area is, there's a slope down to the trail. There's some growth on the side. There's the Pico right of way. And we can ask if people want to have less mowing.
Hmm.
We're usually pushing to have more mowing because it doesn't feel safe when there's so much vegetation right up to the edge.
Right. Yeah.
But they do, they're scheduled to do a bunch of, there's mowing that happens at a regular basis along the trail. I didn't realize that it happened there.
Yeah. They also along the edge of the trail, like their equipment, like tires, like tore up a big part of. I don't know if you can, but like they tore up a bunch of the dirt along the side of the trail in the process.
Oh, Alex, were you there recently? I think you're muted.
Yeah, I was there, but I was walking more so on the trail. Wasn't
Okay.
like on the gravel path.
So Eric, you should send us that picture.
Sure, will do.
Um,
Also,
Yeah,
it's
you
like
can.
because Parks
I'll
and
put
Rec,
my email in the chat, and we have a staff person who manages all the mowing contracts. So anytime there's concerns with mowing, I'll
yeah, I mean, it's
put my info in the chat, share that.
thank you. It's they're contractors, so it's not
Yeah.
Parks and Recreation employees. And if seeing something like that, we should tell Parks and Rec so that they know that they don't do it next time.
I guess also like it
Bad mowing.
reveals all the trash and mows up all the trash that's in the meadow that accumulates over the year too. So now it's just like this barren land, like that's at an entrance to a park that's just full of trash, like shredded trash everywhere. So it's kind of like not, it
Not
doesn't feel like an
fun.
improvement. Um,
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know when we're going to be out there again picking up. I mean, that particular area is so bad
Right. Yeah.
between Tampa and all that.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Another thing question I had was, is there someone who's currently like looking to fix the little library at Ian Ramona? And if not, like I have access to other plexiglass. I don't necessarily have the time to do it. But I could cut the piece and it'd be a lot thicker than other ones that have been in there. So yeah, I just don't know if someone's working on it or not.
That'd be me. The issue that I've been having with it is we go to the Lowe's on Aramingo Avenue for the plexiglass, and apparently they only have one employee who knows how to use the plexiglass cutter. So I've called them and they're like, "Oh, he's not in today." So I try to like connect and they're like, "Oh, he's not in like today either." So I'm like, I've been trying to get there to get the plexiglass for that.
Yeah.
But the issue is that Lowe's is the only place that will cut the plexiglass like to shape the little library door. Like Home Depot won't do it.
Gotcha.
So I've been trying to get it
Eric?
to Lowe's.
So Eric, can you get us plexiglass that's cut?
Yeah, I have a piece that I can cut to size, and it's a lot thicker, so hopefully it won't break as easily, but it will take a little bit of change to how it's held into the door.
Okay.
But yeah,
That's great. If you can work that out with Malcolm, that would be awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll shoot you an email. We can talk about. We can connect with that. like separately outside of here to figure out the logistics, like how we're gonna get that done.
So Malcolm, will you just explain to people about the little libraries?
Yeah, so the little libraries, there are 4. There's one at Iron Ramona that we have that one through. It's WHYY, and the other there was one at Whitaker and Loudon, but I think that got knocked down by some ATVers. So we're working on getting that one kind of fixed and replaced. So there's that one. There's one over at the Hammond and Nedrow Field, up toward the more northern part of the trail. And we got those through Tiny WPA and Read by Fourth. So there's just nice little community libraries that people can leave books, they can take books. It's really nice. Oh, and there's also one at Tabor and Olney. Forgot about that one. They're just really nice additions to the community because people like reading. The trail's a really nice place to kind of get away. If you can find a nice spot to sit, they're a nice place to read too. So we really like having them. The issue is that people take that as a challenge because they don't want the park to have nice things. So we have had them vandalized. Like Eric said, the one at Iron Ramona, this would be our 3rd time repairing the plexiglass because people break it. We have noticed bullet holes in that particular library too. So we've been trying to manage it the best we can and repair it as these things come up. But sometimes they, like this one, it's just kind of hard to keep up on it because we rely on other people like Lowe's and we can't get the plexiglass. So thank you, Ed, for raising that concern. But it's just kind of hard to keep up with it because every time we fix it, sometimes it lasts maybe a week before someone decides that they want to break it again. So it's frustrating for sure, but I do really like having them in the park. People like having them in the community. The one at Iron Mountain and the one at Tabor and Olney, I've only ever heard like nice things from the community. Like they love having them. When if I'm ever out on the trail walking, I see kids going up there, they take books, they leave books. So it makes me happy.
While I'm cutting it, I'll go ahead and cut 2 of them so that you can have a replacement.
Much appreciated. Yeah, that was what we did this last time we fixed it. We got a big scene. We had we had a couple extra panels. I was like, cool, I put it in like on a Monday. I came back like Wednesday and it was smashing. And I was like, that did not last like I thought it would, but that's why we had extras. So thank you for that, Eric. I really appreciate that.
If I may, super small note. I love the little free libraries, and the one at Tabor and Olney's in pretty good condition. Everything's all intact, and people do use it. It's in good shape, and I hope we get a lot of use out of it. But if in the future, whether it's a year, 3 years down the road, we ever install new ones, one note on revision, I just think the shelves should be a little bit deeper. The one at Tabor and Olney gets a lot of use, but sometimes people put books in that are just a little bit too wide for the shelf, and then they can't close the door, and so it stays open, and some of the stuff gets a little water damaged. Super small note, but if we ever do a revision, maybe we could just try to consider adding like 2 to 3 inches more of depth, just so we can close those doors and keep everything safe and dry. Small note.
That's a good note because I've noticed that over at the Hammond and Nedrow one too. So like the large like children's book that they put in, it's not quite deep enough to like properly close the door. I'm gonna pull the screen back up. Because now that we have Thomas, we also have our other new walk leader, Katie, here. So if you guys just want to take an opportunity to quickly introduce, or Thomas, you did it earlier, but Katie, if you would like to introduce yourself very briefly.
Hi. Yeah, for those of you who I haven't met, I'm Katie. I think I'm looking at the list of people over here. I know a lot of you, which is really cool. Are you guys all able to see me? I just see Malcolm's screen.
I can see you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we've only done 1 week so far. And I think unfortunately we're going to have to cancel tomorrow due to rain. But we are a longtime family that lives in East Oak Lane, and we love to. I've done the morning runs for a long time with the park, and also we just like to go on walks and bike rides in the park as well, and go to church at New Life Philly down at like D in the Boulevard. So we've done a lot of programs in the park a few years ago. Back before COVID, I used to help run a nature camp that was in the park. Then we would partner with some of the educators who were interns at with TTF in the summer. So that was great. So yeah, my girls and I do homeschool, and we just thought we would try getting out and doing some time in the park and inviting neighbors and community members to join us. So we are meeting on Fridays at 9 o'clock in the morning.
And then Thomas, did you want to kind of briefly, you and your walkers wanted to switch up your schedule like a little bit with an alternating schedule?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Malcolm. And Katie, by the way, nice to meet you. I hope we get to work together a lot in the next, few months. Nice to have Friday extra walkers. I know it's been a lot of feedback from the community about wanting weekday walks, so we're so glad to have you. Thank you. As for the Saturdays, one of the biggest bits of feedback that we've heard from our regular walkers is just they want to see a little bit of variety in the scenery. Our walking group, always looking to expand it. I think that's been like our biggest challenge, is trying to grow the group and bring more people. But the reality is that we have a really dedicated core group of walkers. Sometimes it's only 4 of us, sometimes 7 or 8, but the people who come out regularly. And we're always walking the same trail. So the feedback from them was that it would be nice to switch it up a little bit. And obviously, like, we just want to keep things clean and simple as far as scheduling, messaging, keeping things easy to understand for the community. So we figured the best way to do it is just a simple alternating schedule every other week at a slightly different location. We currently begin at Whitaker and Loudon. We're going to continue doing that because, of course, we want to serve our southern half of the park. And I know we don't currently have a walk beginning at Aya Ramona like we used to. So at the very least, we want to make sure we keep that Whitaker and Loudon start every other Saturday. But our walkers are also interested in seeing some of the northern sides of the park as well. So on alternating Saturdays, we discussed wanting to start at Rising Sun Avenue. We would start at that Rising Sun Gateway and then walk north towards Adams Avenue and hopefully explore a bit more of the park going up towards Cheltenham. We'll do that every other week. And I've designed a little calendar to help visualize things. We can tweak that and work on it. But the idea is just that every other week we get to do a little bit of an alternating schedule, freshen things up. Hopefully, I want to make sure that the messaging is simple so that people can follow and understand. And we'll keep up with those emails to make sure people know when there's any kind of changes to the schedule. But the plan is, even if things were interrupted, like for instance, tomorrow's Friday walk is canceled, we'll be keeping an eye on the weather Saturday. It might be rainy Saturday too. We'll be making that call closer to the weekend. But if something were canceled, we would just continue with the calendar to the next week. We're not going to be switching things up. If Whitaker and Loudon gets canceled, the following week would be Rising Sun. We'll just stick to that schedule so there's no further adjustments. But we're hoping that that's the way that it'll work and that that'll create a little bit more variety and hopefully grow our walking group as we can try to encourage people from those other starting locations or the surrounding neighborhood to come and join us. So that's the plan.
Nice. Awesome. I'm really happy to have you. I'm really excited for both of you to be. Let me close this. Resume.
So just want to say we thank you, everybody. And we're so happy to have Thomas and Katie. And as Malcolm said, we are really happy. And we would love to do more walks. So get the word out, other days. There may be people who want to walk other days. I'm really excited about having Friday, Saturday. It would be really nice to add Sunday. So, you guys being out there, you're an ad for the park and for another walking group. So, we want to try to be conscious of the time, but Marian has her hand up, so.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to share a couple updates with Parks and Rec and a couple of dates on your calendar. Really excited to hear about the walking programs. I'm not sure if you've connected with We Walk PHL with the Fairmount Park Conservancy. I don't know again how it works, but that's another walking program to consider partnering with. As far as upcoming spring events, Love Your Park will be May 13th to 21st. We're asking all groups to register for that by April 10th so that you can request any tools you might need, compost or wood chip delivery. And we also have our movie night and programs grants that will be due April 3rd. That's run through Paramount Park Conservancy. So I just want to make sure folks have those dates on your radar as you're thinking about programming and events. And just as a reminder, any like community events, we do ask groups to complete permits so we can help you with that. But for instance, like the Celebrate Trails Day, would ask that you all request a permit for that day for that event. So we can help you on our team and have folks to help facilitate that process. And then finally, for anyone who's new to the Park Friends Network, we do have a one-on-one Park Friends Network meeting. It's virtual next Wednesday. So if there's anyone who wants a refresher to understand what is the Park Friends Network, who are the 135 groups across the city that are here caring for our parks, that's an opportunity as well. So I can post some links in the chat if you want to find those, but those are some upcoming events I just wanted to make sure people knew about. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Mary. I really appreciate you giving us that information. Like Julie said, we do want to be respectful of everybody's time. So Julie, do you have any closing words for us? Gonna put you on the spot.
No, I have no well, I mean, I always have closing words. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for taking the time. I know everybody wants to go have dinner, and feed their animals. So just, help us spread the word. That's the most important thing, for folks to talk to everybody else about what can, bringing more people to the park, finding other walk leaders. And we have a really, it's been kind of quiet. And now we have a really nice spring, summer, and fall coming up. We have Birds of a Feather, we'll have block parties, we'll have the River Alive Learning Trail back on June 3rd. So please, we got a lot of good stuff going on. We're hoping it's going to be a really good summer. That's it.
All right, and with that, we will let you guys go enjoy the rest of your evenings. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Great meeting.
Good to see you all.
Have a nice night, everyone.
Thanks.
everybody. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Night.
Good night.